and welcome to our Nothing But Fortinet Partner Panel. My name is John Bove, VP of Channel Sales here at Fortinet, and today I'm joined by the General Manager of ISG Technology, Walter Hersikorn. Walter, thanks for taking some time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, John. Appreciate it.
So, Walter, maybe let's just start. Talk to us a little bit about your business. You know, what your model looks like, how you guys approach the market. Good for our audience to understand that.
Sure. Happy to. So ISG is a full service technology firm. So we've walked away from integrator. Integrators are people that just install hardware and move away. So we have three key divisions in our company. We have our managed services platform. We have our traditional hardware software division, and then our professional services, which are our project engineers and day-to-day field scope. And the way we approach the market is very consultative with our customers. So we tend to go best of breed in our categories to be sure that we're offering the best services and products to our customer base throughout the United States. I throw Puerto Rico in there, but I don't know how often we get there.
I wouldn't turn down a project in Puerto Rico, you know. So let's talk about this past year has been something that none of us could have predicted, and I think many of us have had to make some quick pivots on the fly to our business. Maybe talk a little bit about how 2020 impacted your business.
Yeah, and that's a great question for today, because today is the exact day that we made the decision to move our entire operations to remote. Exactly 365 days ago. So tomorrow there was not a single ISG employee in an ISG facility. How has that impacted our business? I'm going to walk you through it quarter by quarter, because I think that's mainly how it happened. The first quarter was for most businesses, including our competitors, booming. Things were going great. Second quarter was when reality set in of where are we going to go with this. And throughout the course of the year, we saw shifts with our customers, what they were thinking. There was clearly a nervousness in the market on directionally where they were going to go. And so we had to change our model. I mean, we were a traditional shop. We had to adjust on the fly. We had to work with our partners. We worked with Fortinet very closely in 2020. For example, security was the hottest topic. You can't be in the office, and oh gosh, there's this new thing running around rampant. It's called ransomware, and it's probably just as fatal to a business as some of the other things that we've experienced this last year. So that was really the hard part for us. Is just everyone in the organization had a laptop, but it was still tough to not be around people every day. That would be the take I'd have on last year.
Yeah, and let's talk about that from a customer's perspective, because I think I would agree with you, that, the first weeks and months into this, we saw, a lot of partners like yourself working with customers to establish a secure work from home environment, but, what have you seen evolve in your customer base, throughout the totality of 2020?
The number one thing that I've noticed evolved from our middle markets and our enterprise is a higher visibility of IT infrastructure and need to maintain that infrastructure at high standards. When it comes to their thought process on where they're going to invest their dollars, they're looking at products that can not only reduce connectivity costs, can improve security, and all speak or talk very well together to help minimize the cost of the IT staff while still getting premium results. That's the number one thing I've seen. The number two thing I've seen is the awareness around those same employers and concerns, which shocked me, around their employer morale and what the culture was based on either limited technologies and how they could make that better for their employees. And so, they're thinking about securing an employee in Ohio that has a laptop in their home, and then they've still got their data center and they still have their office operations. So a lot of things went into play, and I think IT finally became a recognizable critical infrastructure piece of business, whereas before in many cases it was just we've got to have computers.
Yep. Yeah, it was a forced digital transformation for many. I think both on the customer and also on the partner side. It was
Correct.
We all had to adapt. I like that you brought up culture. I mean, I'm in our Plano office here, and we have, what was, 366 days ago, a bustling environment where it was easy to build that culture. But I think, culture has been one of the things that, for those companies that have figured out is improved employee morale. But, for some, it's interesting to see. So how have you done that with your own, workforce? What are some of the things that ISG's done to ensure, because I mean, these have been challenging times for sure.
Yeah, and I didn't expect us to be talking about that, but believe it or not, this is our first day of officially back into a hybrid work environment. So all of our offices are back in play with a hybrid work week. So there's a number of days that they're working remote, number of days they're working from the office to help enhance the collaborative effort. I had a lot of comments from employees. Walter, I love video. I just want to see somebody.
Yeah.
I want to see more depth. And so today in our office, we were setting some things up. We had just in this particular office, this one's in our Oklahoma City area, they had just moved to this office. So they hadn't even been in this office 2 months when they had to move away, so to speak. So they were moving furniture, and you could see everybody just wanted to hug everybody and just say, I'm just so glad to see you. Right. Yep. And we're seeing that across our customer base. Our enterprise customers are embracing it very similarly with a hybrid plan. Our mid-markets, many of them are already back in full production. And the SMB space, I don't feel like they ever went fully remote. And I think that was really financial restraints that caused them to not be able to make the investments they needed.
Yep. Yeah, and we've seen, obviously the core secure networking portfolio of Fortinet's always been, a big driver. But, we announced on our most recent earnings call that Fabric collection of technologies it's almost $1 billion business for us now. And we've really seen, to your point, an acceleration of the need for, integrated technologies that can, drive orchestrated response. So as we think about, let's knock on wood, hopefully we're moving in a forward direction here. Where do you see and where are your customers looking towards as we continue to move forward? What are you, if you were going to place a couple of bets, where do you see the market evolving into?
I'm going to place my bets on a couple things. I think customers are going to evaluate, one, their security posture a little deeper. That's number one. They're going to try to determine what's the happy medium between on-prem staff and outsourced or managed security service providers. I think two, you're going to see a migration. We've seen it. There was a big push into the cloud. Now we're starting to see more of a hybrid structure. I will have certain things in the cloud, but I feel more comfortable now back on-prem. I think you'll start to see more and more customers looking towards a smaller footprint in the OEM or manufacturer space, that controlling that network. Primarily, the driver there is in the event of breach or failure, the return or the RTO or RPO, whichever you want to use, it's significantly faster when you're dealing with one technology. In a breach, if everything's on the same platform, it makes it very simple to bring that platform back to life. If you've got a divergent network with multiple vendors and string holding things together, it's a long, painful process. So those are the three things that we see today. The number one is clearly network security and a meshing of the environment, so to speak. So in the Fortinet case, right, I'm seeing a surge in the EDR product, the FortiNAC, and the FortiClient. We've seen immense growth in those two lines. Last year in 2020, we saw 3x growth in our Fortinet business with security or the FortiGate line, which was amazing. So when you start looking at that, you can tell where these companies are going, and then they're leveraging that as well. Just left a meeting earlier today, large company, 70 locations, all MPLS connected. The conversation was, what about FortiGate and their SD-WAN capabilities? And then you layer on all these other pieces, and suddenly they're peeling 9, 10 different platforms that they were using completely out of their network and running on a single pane of glass, right? That's where we see our customers going today.
Yep. And I guess the same can be said, for your organization. You mentioned earlier on that you've kind of moved away from being, just an integrator that's going to go out there and install hardware. How is this, convergence of a platform, for a customer, how has that, changed your corporate mentality in terms of, we all know the cybersecurity space is so noisy. If you ever been to the RSA conference, it's amazing how much venture money is spent on all of these companies that maybe just do a feature or a point-based solution. But I'm just curious, along those same lines, has your direction for your organization changed at all as you see more customers move towards a platform for security?
We have, I can tell you, I mean, our organization internally, we're on a what I call a flat platform, right? It's a Fortinet platform. As a changing environment, we have retooled our managed offerings to mimic the same offerings that we would offer traditionally out to the old market, or the old kind of style of sell a piece of hardware, go install it, or or drop ship it. And we've augmented. What we found though is when you use the same line and you train people on that, they become very good and efficient at that task. So we can provide that service at a very, very affordable rate, even to an SMB customer that traditionally going into managed security was a fairly expensive venture, or what you were getting wasn't really what you were paying for, right? And we want to be sure that a large enterprise customer that's on the platform and a small 20-person real estate firm are all getting the same level of management and attention. And that's where we've retooled our focus. We are clearly a customer-driven organization when it comes to that.
Yeah, nice. Maybe along the same lines, and I'm always curious, I think the shift to SaaS and the shift to the cloud, we have seen some changes to consumption of technology. What have you seen in the market, and in your mind, where do you think that's going to go, and how do you think that's going to impact as we move forward?
I mean, I think you and I both can agree that the market is moving to consumption-based, product selling. I mean, it's maybe not 100% there, but at some point in time, we will be consumption-based. For the most part, most customers can accept the consumption-based model. What they like the most is the scale up, scale down ability. Right? So 2020 was a super example. If you were on that platform and you were on a good platform and you had to scale back, you still didn't have that big check to write every month or every quarter, however your billing worked. You were able to scale. So from that perspective, customers absolutely appreciate it. I think on the converse of that, it's still an education out there and explaining and educating customers on the true value behind a consumption-based model, right? Because now I'm not having to worry about upgrades. I'm not having to worry about all these other pieces that I would normally have to worry about, where you and I probably see these. There's current alerts out there for VMware and Microsoft patching that's critical, 9.9, critical levels. Those are things that even mid-market businesses don't have the resources to just stop everything and start patching their equipment. I mean, if you have 150 servers, you've got to start running patching on them. It's going to take some time. I think the consumption-based model, particularly in some of the products that I see, I particularly like the EDR model. Has a really neat consumption-based model. I like that. It's understandable to a business owner that if I bring on an employee, my onboard cost, if you will, is X dollars for this. So to secure Walter, I'm going to pay $70 a month, but that's going to protect me from Walter clicking on something and wrecking my network. Right? Yep. When you start framing it that way, then people start to understand what that really means.
Yeah, that's great to hear, and I see the same thing. In fact, we've worked very diligently to ensure that we've got more of our technology available on a consumption basis, because I think the opportunity for partners to evolve into that trusted business advisor. I know it's kind of an overused term, but it's got to be all encompassing, right? It's got to be able to address their point needs, be able to give them a roadmap in terms of a solution, and be able to drive things as a service offering. So interesting. Well, you mentioned the reopening of your office, which is fantastic. I, for one, I'm happy to be back in the office and the change of scenery. I got as much as I love my puppy dog, I got tired of him interrupting my meetings. How do you see how are you guys treating in-person meetings? How are you treating? What's the compass, your customers, temperature, for things like that as we look to reopen and try to find some normalcy?
So I think I've seen and I've heard feedback from the team. We're at about a 50-50 split on our customer base on in-person versus we'd still like to be remote. Some of that is restricted by their organization. Their organization may say you can't have in-person meetings. We at ISG do have in-person meetings. if the customer so wants. It's
Mhm.
not necessary. We have all the tools to do it anyway. Normal policies. We didn't used to have these in our office, but every single door has a hand sanitizer attached to it now, right? A little gel pack thing, and every room has Santa wipes all over the place. And the offices on a regular basis, I think it's every 60 days, gets a chemical clean to disinfect. Right? We're trying to ensure everything we can, social distancing, and I think some customers truly appreciate that. We had a fairly large organization in here earlier, and they wanted to meet in person, right? They didn't want to meet via virtually. The comment that their CTO said was, "I'm tired of getting on video meetings, and
Yep.
I want to know who I'm buying from."
Yep.
So that I see that going across the board. I think it'll be interesting to see. I think it's almost a regional thing. We cover several regions, and I feel like some parts of the country. I know you're in Texas. I've been in Texas not too long ago. Pretty wide open, right? I mean, it's a little locked down, but it still seems to be going pretty good. Our Kansas market seems to be, we are remote where we were, but I feel like people are ready to get out. It's almost like it's spring, let me out.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Hopefully with some better weather and some sunshine, we can all get out and try to get back to normal. Well, Walter, I really appreciate your partnership and you taking the time today. It's always important to hear about what's going on in our partners' environment. And, again, I hope we can continue to support you and your business as you continue to transform to support your customers. So thank you very much for joining our session today.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it. And thanks for the Fortinet team for inviting me.
Yep. Very good. And then for all of you joining, please do enjoy our Nothing But Fortinet expert panel coming up next. Thanks. Have a great day.